Good afternoon, Buford Middle School students. This is Miss Smith. This is going to be lesson 3, More with Angles, and we're still in Unit 5, Part 2. This is going to be our last lesson for this unit. Today we're going to talk about using algebra in order to find angle measures. And we're going to be talking about triangle measures and your special angle measures. At this time, you need to make sure you have your pencil and pen or highlighter all ready. Also, you need to have your guided notes out on your desk and in a quiet room so that you can concentrate on the video. All right, first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of a review because it is important to make sure that you do know the different special angle measures because we are going to be using that a lot in this lesson. First of all, we have complementary angles. These are two angles that add up to 90 degrees, and these complementary angles are going to be next to each other. They're going to be adjacent, so together they add up to 90 degrees. We have supplementary angles, the two angles that add up to 180 degrees. Again, they'll be next to each other, and if you take the two angles and take their sum, it will add to 180. Then you have two adjacent angles. Those are two angles that share a common side and do not overlap. You have your vertical angles, which are two lines that meet at a point and are opposite of each other. I like to remind students that the vertical angles will share a vertex. So where the two lines cross, they share that vertex. I'm going to move on. If you need to pause the video to write down the remaining vocabulary words, please do so at this time. All right, again, just kind of running through some of our vocabulary terms. We have corresponding angles, and these are angles that occupy the same position. Alternate interior angles are angles inside the parallel lines that are on opposite sides of the transversal. They're diagonal of each other. And alternate exterior angles are angles that are on the opposite side of parallel lines and are opposite of each other on the outside of parallel lines. And again, this is just a review because we need to know that all of these, the special angles are congruent, and that's going to be really important when we are working with our algebra. All right, the first example is using algebra to find an angle measure in a triangle. Now, we've been reviewing triangles, and we know that triangles, their interior angles are going to add up to be 180 degrees. Well, here I have two angles that are unknown. I don't know what those angles are. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to set up an equation in order to find the missing angles. Now there's going to be two parts to this. The first part is going to be I have to find out what my variable equals. So my first part, I'm going to be taking each angle and setting up an equation. So I know that if I take all the angles, 4x minus 10, plus this angle here, which is represented by our little square in the corner, so that is 90 degrees, plus my third angle, which is x, all equals 180. Now, we can go through and combine like terms. There's nothing outside of this parentheses, so I can just leave everything how it is. So I have 4x and a positive x will give me 5x. I have a negative 10 and a positive 90 that will give me a positive 80 equals 180. Now I just have a two-step equation. I'm going to do inverse balance solve. So I get 5x equals 100, and I need to do it one more time since this is a two-step equation, so I'll divide both sides by 5. So I know that x equals 20. Now this is not my answer because I need to go and find what each angle would equal. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this x here and I'm going to plug it in. So if I take x and plug it in for this angle here, it's just x. So this angle is going to be 20 degrees. If I take x and plug it in at 4x minus 10, I'll have 4 times 20 minus 10. That'll give me 80 minus 10. So this angle here would be 70 degrees. Now, an easy way to check your work is to then go back and add up all your angles that you have and make sure they equal 180 degrees. So I have 20 plus 70 plus 90. That does equal 180, so that means that I am correct in my plugging in and solving for x. All right, let's do another example dealing with triangles. This time, every single angle has a variable inside. So I'm still going to use the same process. I know that all three angles equal 180. So I'm going to put x plus 30 plus this angle here is 2x plus the last angle is 90 minus x equals 180. So the first thing I do is I write out my equation. Now I am going to combine like terms. So I have x plus 2x and a negative x. Remember to take the sign in front. All right, so x plus 2x is 3x. 3x minus 1x is going to give me 2x. So I have 2x, and then I have plus 30 and a positive 90. That gives me plus 120. And I know it equals 180 degrees. All right, again, we're just going to solve the two-step equation. I'm going to go ahead and write what you get. You get 2x equals 60. So x equals 30. All you do is inverse balance solve. Now, this isn't my answer. I have to go and plug this into each angle. So this angle here, I have 30 plus 30. If I plug in, this angle is going to equal 60. If I plug in 2 times 30, that's going to give me 60. And then I can already tell this is an equilateral triangle, so that means all angles and all sides are equal. So this one is also going to be 60. And I could have easily plugged in 30 here. Again, you can check your work by adding up all your angles. 60 plus 60 plus 60 does indeed give us 180. All right, next we're going to use algebra to find missing angles in a special angle using our special relationships. The first thing you need to determine is which angles are these special angles that I have to figure out first. So if I'm looking at this example 3, I notice that x plus 15 and 125 are corresponding angles. They occupy the same position on the parallel lines. So if you know anything about corresponding, I know that my corresponding angles are congruent. Well, what does congruent mean? That means they are going to equal the same number. So again, I am going to write an equation. I know that this angle here, x plus 15, equals this angle here because they're congruent. So equals 125. Now I have a one-step equation. So I subtract both sides by 15. And I get that x equals 110 degrees. So in this case, I'm finding x because I already know if I plug it in, it's going to give me 125. So this would be my answer. X equals 10 degrees, or 110, sorry. All right, and example number 4 is same thing. You're trying to find the variable, and the first thing I want to figure out is, are these special angles? And I do notice that x plus 35 and 120 are alternate interior angles. They are inside the parallel lines here. Here are my parallel lines. And they are inside, and they are on opposite sides of the transversal. So I know that these two are congruent. So that means this angle and this angle are going to equal each other. So when I add, or I plug in for my equation, I get x plus 35 is this angle equals its alternate interior angle, which is 120. I just solve for x, subtract both sides by 35, and I get x equals 85 degrees. All right, now it is your turn. I would like you to pause the video and complete the 4 your turn questions. If you need more space, you can use the back of your notes page for your work.